This happened in a suburb which is part of the greater metropolitan area of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now that larger metropolitan area, it contains nearly 16 million people. It's July 2025 at 9:15 p.m., so it's about 3 hours after sunset. This is an off-duty police officer taking a birthday present to his daughter and the girl's mother, who were standing outside on the sidewalk waiting when these young men run up in what the news story referred to as a piranha formation or a piranha attack. Apparently that is a thing in this part of the world. You know, like those vicious little fish that like to attack in groups with sharp little teeth. Yeah, targeting this man as a victim for robbery. Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First. This is considered the suburbs, but I did a little research on the nearest intersection that was listed in the news article, and it looks like it's not a super dangerous slum, but there are some risks. Crime data suggested rising robberies, snatchings, and home invasions being frequent and an obvious public concern, but it's not classified as one of the most violent or so-called no-go zones in the greater metropolitan area. Research also indicated that the greater Buenos Aires, or that massive metro area with nearly 16 million people, has robbery rates which are significantly higher than the national average. Part of the reason for this is no different than it is in the United States or any other big city in any other country on the planet. Population density, with the largest urban concentration in Argentina. Okay, let's break this one down. If you're in or near a large, densely populated city after dark, around dangerous men of the human piranha type, then you have to tighten up your tactics. So arrivals and departures, well, they need to be highly efficient. What does that mean? Well, we all know that timing is critical, but time itself is one of the most precious commodities we either have or we lack as it relates to ambush attacks. So you should not and do not want to waste time from the moment that his car comes to a stop until he realizes he's got a problem. It's almost 38 seconds. Now I'm presuming that he was getting his daughter's gift out of the trunk, but it really doesn't matter what it is that he's getting out of the trunk. If I'm in an area that I have reasonable concerns about increased robberies, I'm not getting anything out of the trunk. Note that we're at 9.5 seconds just to get out of the vehicle. Rather, I'm going to have whatever it is that I need set next to me on the front seat of my car, so that when I park, I can just reach over and grab it, get out, and get moving towards the front door of that residence or whatever business I happen to be going to. That's efficient. What we're seeing here is not efficient. Here's another thing that I don't like. I understand that this might be a cultural norm in this part of the world to briefly stop with your hazards on to drop something off real quick. But by turning your hazards on, it's like ringing a dinner bell for the tight-knit little group of criminals just waiting for the next victim to happen along. It is a visual transitional dinner bell. Out in the seam, you're just telling them, hey, I'm going to be distracted for a minute in this transition, so go ahead and come get some. Maybe don't do that. Look at his focus. Where is his attention? Well, it's on the interior of the trunk, and now he's just placed a visual barrier. That trunk lid is going to obstruct his view of the bad guys who at this point remain forward of his car. He's stacking the odds against himself. He's head down and his car is still running. So depending upon how loud your exhaust is, well, that can muffle things that you really need to hear, like people running towards you. So he wastes about 23 seconds distracted with his focus, his attention, inside his trunk area. At about 37 seconds, he begins to stand back up, presumably hearing and realizing he may have a violent problem spinning up. Why does it sound like people are running towards me? So the first bad guy that he sees is the one who happens to be closest to him, and that bad guy is holding and pointing some unknown object at him. If it were me, I would believe that's a weapon because of how he's holding it, his stance, and really the totality of all of these circumstances. News reports said that ultimately 2 out of the 5 of these unjust criminal aggressors were captured, but no firearms were found. At this point in the investigation, there were questions regarding whether or not a replica was used, a replica of a weapon, or if it was a real firearm, whether or not it was disposed of during their escape. They were treating this as an attempted aggravated robbery. What's an aggravated robbery? Well, it's going to vary from place to place, but it's basically the same in Illinois. Aggravated robbery, part of that means taking property by force or threat of force, plus indicating that you have a weapon. In Argentina, the news said that the criminal may have simulated the use of a firearm. Now, one of these bad guys was struck by one of the little projectiles fired by our good guy, which shattered his femur, causing him to fall down to the ground, unable to get back up. That bad guy is 18 years old, and he was immediately subdued by backup officers who soon arrived on scene. He remains hospitalized under strict police custody as this investigation continues. He was captured after a brief chase. The other 3 got away, for now. See the 90-degree bend in his elbow? So we know what's what with that, right? Going for his gun. I love what the off-duty officer does next. He does something odd and unexpected. He stacks an obscured corner, this back driver's side corner of his vehicle. He stacks that partially blind corner, temporarily putting the vehicle as an obstacle between him and what appears to be an imminent deadly force threat. Why? Well, he needs a wee bit of time to get his gun out. Is this a guarantee? No, there are no guarantees. Remember, the authorities have stated apparently they have reasons to question whether any of these idiots even had a real firearm or not. If they didn't have a real firearm, well, the tactics don't really get tested if nobody has the capacity or the will to actually shoot back at you, right? Say yes. There are no guarantees. There are only varying degrees of risk on the physical battlefield and varying degrees of risk from one battlefield to the next, the legal battlefield, which is always looming in the backdrop of every violent encounter. What is it that our good guy is seeing here, or should be seeing? Well, the first guy, he doesn't have anything in his hands. And the second guy, nothing in his hands. Those are good signs. But this first guy, he does attempt to go hands-on, even if only half-heartedly. Our good guy gets his gun out, as this bad guy kind of takes on a standing fetal position. If you rewind it and watch it again, you'll see his arms come together towards his center line, the center of his chest, as if to say, oh no, don't shoot me. This bad guy, the one who may or may not actually be armed with the firearm, well, he sees and understands the good guy in fact does have a firearm. It's out and it's up. What's he gonna do? As our good guy turns to face what he believes is the imminent deadly force threat, well, he is going to duck down behind this concealment. The good guy used his vehicle to restack the odds in his favor. He's no longer behind in the process of the draw. He's ready up and he's searching for that deadly threat problem. It's now time to address what he believes to be an imminent deadly force threat by stopping that imminent deadly force threat. Check out Johnny Come Lately, the 5th bad guy. Well, he reads this correctly very quickly. And like all the other bad guys, he remembers. I think I left mac and cheese cooking on the stove. Time to go. Consistently and repeatedly, our off-duty brothers in blue south of the border, well, they prove to be make-it-happen kind of guys.